guys, today's topics, I'm gonna go over like my strategies, which I like to do wraps, and then I sell the notes by breaking up the notes in two positions and then keeping one in a position where there's no responsibility or liability to it. I just cash flow, and then the first one I sell on a discount and cash out. But before we get into that, Tom, do you mind just kind of letting people know who you are and what programs you have
sure, man.
out there, and then put your information?
Yeah, sure.
I learned how to get my first Airbnb from this guy right here through an arbitrage. This guy's a beast, bro. Beast mode right here, this guy. So you guys can really learn from this guy. This guy's super solid.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just saw you went live, so I figured I'd jump in here quick. I can't stay long, but
cool.
I just wanted to. I saw you.
It's recorded, so
live,
anybody
so
wants to watch it, it's on the recording.
Yeah. So my name's Tom. I'm in Sub 2 with Carlos. I don't know. Is everyone in here from Sub 2 or?
Some are.
So, but yeah, I mean, I built my whole business on arbitrage. I own some properties, but I got started. My goal was to build the business for cash flow. So, just built the business on arbitrage, renting properties from people and furnishing them, and then subleasing on the different platforms, Airbnb, VRBO, and just built up a business and learned a whole lot over the last 3 years, and it's been good. Especially
how many Airbnbs do you have right now, bro?
What's that?
How many Airbnbs do you have right now?
I have 12 currently.
Jesus.
So yeah, it's and then I also have I started a virtual assistant management company, and we can do remote setup and design, and then we can manage it also. And the whole goal behind that was, it's essentially my team that manages my properties, but I built the team for significant growth. And I was like, well, I built it to make it accessible for the public as well, because I did the property, like the management through some of the other companies that are out there. I tested those out, and especially from an arbitrage standpoint, they eat so much of your profit that it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make financial sense. So I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I built it. So that's my spiel in a nutshell.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, man, I follow your podcast too, and I like your podcast. It sounds real professional too. It sounds like it's been there for a long time. It sounds like you're experienced. It sounds like you're an experienced podcaster.
Oh, good.
Yeah, sounds good. Did he freeze? Oh, there you go. You froze a little bit.
Oh yeah, we're having internet issues. Earlier this year, I took on a whole lot all at once between my social media, the podcast, like building a course, like, teaching in Sub 2, putting new properties together. So it was a lot. So for now, the podcast is on hold for a minute, but at least we got some episodes out, got it launched, and it's good. But yeah, there'll be more good stuff coming. I've learned a lot more that I want to get out there. So yeah, the podcast is arbitrage too.
Yeah, drop all your information in there. I know a lot of people are very interested in Airbnbs. I'm super stoked, bro, for the Airbnb I have by Yosemite Park, the one that I have in Mariposa, the one that I'm gonna do the glamping sites on.
Yes,
that's gonna be a killer, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Are you setting up the glamping sites?
Yeah, so what we're doing is so we got it for $379. The ARV on it's closer to $625. The lady who gave her our fire insurance, she said it's worth like $800 plus. Anyways, once we renovate it, we're gonna refinance it, and then we're gonna use that money to clear out whatever we owe, and then we're gonna use that money to then put the glamping sites. So we already got a lender in there in he basically paid for the Airbnb furnishings, the renovations, closing costs, and everything.
Yeah.
And we still have a good amount of money in there after we refinance it. So we just closed on it a week and a half ago, and now we just started doing the construction on it.
How are you structured? Are you sorry, I'm getting distracted. I can't do two things at once. Like I can't walk and chew bubble gum. I can't type and talk at the same time. No. How are you structured, man? Are you do you have a management company set up from an ownership company separate?
So I just have my business LLC. I don't have like a management company, but with this one, since I know that I split duties with Jada on the Airbnb arbitrage that we have, and I'm very busy now. Like I just bought my
it looks like it, man. You're freaking closing properties like crazy.
Yeah, so I'm super busy now where even I sometimes can't respond as quickly. And I remember you told me it's good to be able to respond very quickly.
Yeah.
So I know that my automatic thing is I'm not going to be able to have time to put in to do the management. So I know that that's going to be a route that I'm going to want to establish.
Yeah.
And I don't, but maybe I should.
Well, you just want to, you will get dinged on, there's like behind the scenes quotas that they have in the platforms, you know, so you want to make sure that like response time is critical, because if your response time drops, they'll start dropping your listing. Even if you have 5-star reviews, it doesn't matter. So you want to make sure that you're staying on top of that. But from a structure standpoint, when you're owning like, well, whatever, no, your arbitrage property, is that also into the same LLC as the other properties?
Same LLC. So
okay,
that's the all of them are in one LLC. I have all the houses right now that I have are all in one, and I know that I heard Pace say that I believe he does 6 per LLC. So I have 8 of them in one.
Do you have a holding company?
I have a holding company, and then I have an active one.
So what you want to do, are some of those properties that you're owning, you're turning into Airbnb?
I have one arbitrage, and the one of them is going to be Airbnb. The rest are wraps. So the one in Mariposa up north, that's the one that I'm actually holding, and that's going to be an Airbnb.
Okay, so what you want to do is set up another LLC.
Okay.
And make that a management company or an ownership company, either or. And as best you can, either the arbitrage, it's probably going to be easier to transfer the arbitrage one. Just see if you can change the name on the lease to be in another company. But what you want to do is set up a separate management company. And I can tell you this from experience, because I'm dealing with this right now, and it would be a huge help if I was structured differently. But also, well, I'll give you a couple tips here real quick.
Okay. Sweet, bro.
And this is just my perspective. It doesn't mean it's gospel, but this is just what I recommend, because it will make, like, it'll pay dividends down the road. Have your management company separate, right? So all your leases go into that management company. And what you want to do is, if you're owning the property in one LLC, you want to rent that one to your management company, arbitrage it to yourself.
Say that again.
So you want to so say you're buying a house to turn into Airbnb, right? You want to have that one owned by an LLC, and then have a management company as a separate LLC, and then rent from this LLC to this LLC. So you're arbitraging to yourself. So now you have a management contract, and that's going to pay you off in 2 ways. Because one, when you go to refinance, they won't take short-term, like banks won't take short-term rental as income. You need to have a long-term lease. So if you have a long-term lease to a management company, they're going to see it as a property management company. Now you have a long-term lease that's paying you every month. So now you have the income, and you can prove that property is cash flowing. But meanwhile, this LLC that's just paying yourself rent has the income. right? So they have the
Right.
short-term rental income. But what that also does is down the road, if you decide you want to sell your LLC, say you build up like 10, 15, 20 Airbnbs and you want to have them all in one, all the management contracts are under this property management company. Now you can roll that up, you can sell that business, but you still own the asset over here. So you can
Wow.
sell that business.
That's fire, bro.
You can sell that for like 2 to 3 times your net profit, because it's all cash flow business.
Yeah.
So if you want to, if you want to, you can sell that business for like, you know, say you're cash flowing $250,000, $500,000 a year, you can sell that for like 3 times what you're making, get 3 years worth of income. They assume those leases because now you're selling the management company is separate of the property. They're still going to pay you rent on the property that you own.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can always, you make an agreement, you know, don't do anything shady, but you can always cut that lease down the road and just start it over. You know what I mean? Or you can build, you just keep that asset, keep them paying you, but you want to keep those separate. The other thing too, I would suggest is for those wrap houses, if they're wraps, as I understand it, at least, I would say keep each one in a separate LLC, because if there's other people involved, don't intermingle, because if it ever ends up in a lawsuit, and I can tell you firsthand, I just went through a lawsuit and it's a nightmare. And I don't wish it on anyone, but my lawyer, who I fired, ended up, the one tidbit of advice that he gave me that I took away that was good was, he said, always assume everything's going to end up in a lawsuit from the beginning, right? Because I made a comment like, well, I went into this deal and I never assumed it was going to, I never thought it was going to end up in a lawsuit. And he was like, just assume everything's going to end up in a lawsuit no matter what. So
worst case scenario.
What's that?
Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you have that wrap, because if for whatever reason it ends up in a lawsuit and there's other people involved, they can go after all those other assets. But if you have that one property under one LLC and it's by itself in a box, separate.
But here's the thing though, right? If I have them and they're all debt, there's no equity in them, what can they get me for if all I have is debt?
That's a good point.
I remember
Pace
bringing it up. Something I keep 6 in an LLC, and then he goes, and if they come after my LLC, what can they get? There's no equity in the deal. Most of them are debt. I owe debt on everything. Everything is a whole debt.
But there's no equity in the properties? Some
of them are strictly sub 2, and they're like where they are. Like some of them are like a year old, 2 years old. Some of them are like that, you know, that there's no equity in them. I bought them at price, basically. I have like 3 of them like that.
I mean, it's something to look at, but and I'm not well versed on wraps, so I'm no expert on it. But I'm
gonna look into it.
Fairly well versed on lawsuits now, and I don't wish. I hope none of you ever get well versed on lawsuits, but I can tell you from my experience, if I was structured properly, I would have saved myself a lot of money, like a lot.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I'm a busy person. I might make mistakes. I've already almost lost Gator. I've almost lost Gator money. Almost been sued. Random. I've fucked up already so many times. I learned though. I took action, but I fucked up, and then I learned.
Dude, that's the way you learn, though. You know, everyone's so afraid of being wrong or making mistakes. Like, you know, I just could have got a whole college education. I'll put it that way.
I know that our when I used Gator money on a deal in Texas, and basically, I was gonna lose it, but I tried to pull it out during my inspection, and because of our contracts, how we have them, we don't have to get the signature from the other party. Not in the state of Texas. It's a mutual friendly state, so both parties have to agree to anything to move forward. So I was And the seller even told me, she's like, that's what you get, yada yada. I'm taking your money. So she
Yeah.
goes to pick up the AirBNB, and they tell her Carlos also has to sign off. So then I just told her, all right, well then I'm just gonna file a lien on the property, and you can't sell it until you release my money. She released
Right.
it.
Yeah. So you just want to just protect yourself, man. That's my only point. Mine was a fix and flip. So it ended up, it was a mess. But if I was structured properly and I had that house in its own separate LLC owned by my holding company, then I could have just cut bait, shut that LLC down, and been, told the contractor to go eat shit because, but they ended up suing me and they ended up winning, and it was complete bullshit. They ended up beating me on a loophole, which sucks, but it is what it is. So, just protect yourself no matter what. Don't cut corners. And, if there's other people involved, I'd say just isolate as much as possible, because who knows what happens. Like there might be something you're not, you don't know, or you don't see, or whatever, that's 10 years down the road, all of a sudden pops up, and now you have equity in all these properties, and now they can go after all those other properties. I don't know. I'm just saying, just stuff to look into. And just
when you're on a wrap, I don't own the real estate, I own just the debt, right? The note, can they come after that? I was just thinking that right now. I don't own the real estate, so I don't gain, appreciation or depreciation since I don't own it. I just own the note. I hold the note.
Yeah. See, I don't know. That would be a good question for, I'm not well enough versed on that stuff to answer that from an educated standpoint, but I just know every property I'm going to own from now on is going to be in its own LLC and separated from everything else, because
each of them its own business, basically.
Because even if it means I have 30 LLCs, then so be it, because I just don't want whoever to have access to any other property, I mean, say down the road, I don't know. I mean, whatever, you never know what's going to happen down the road. So, and you can always move it around down the road, but I just know from a fix and flip standpoint, for sure, make that isolated as much as possible.
Wow, man.
But also set up that management company, man. Yeah,
I wrote that down. I'm going to talk to Brad about that on some of our deals for the Airbnbs coming up.
Yeah. And you can definitely set it up before you take on more. And then definitely,
I like that. Thanks for bringing that up. That's genius.
Yeah, that's a tactic. Like I just went to this event in Houston with TJ Tajani, and he had a whole bunch of people in the short-term rental business there. I mean, there was all sorts of crazy good nuggets to take out of there.
That was fire, super fun. So much money right there, and what you just told me, I didn't even think about that.
Dude,
I like it.
Justin's really versed too. Money doing that.
Justin right here, he's super versed in basically like business and tax incentives, write-offs, things like that.
Oh yeah.
Is he trying to find my baggage?
Yeah, you had a seminar right now, or you leaving the airport? What are you doing?
No, I'm in the airport. They ended up putting my bag on a different plane, so I gotta wait for the stupid thing.
Nice. Where did you go in?
Fort Lauderdale. I'm here for Scale and Escape.
Oh, nice.
Scale and Escape. That's fire. Bro, that's fire. Well, thanks, man. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'm probably gonna jump off here. I don't want to take over your whole Zoom here.
No,
I was just jumping on to say yo.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
For sure. Antonetta asked me, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna throw my
throw everything in there. Podcast, right? Everybody give him a follow, give him a text message, a follow on Instagram, subscribe to his YouTube podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty much Tom John Swan for just about everything. If you search that on whatever platform, you'll find me.